We'll go ahead and call our city council meeting to order on today, Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. On behalf of the city council, I just want to thank you guys for attending. And for those who couldn't make it today, we will be posting this video of our city council meeting on our website within 24 hours. But I also want to recognize Troop 247 that's here with us this evening. They're here for citizenship in the community. So I just want to welcome you guys, Troop 247. Thank you guys for coming and attending the meeting and participating in your local government. And we also have some rock stars in the city hall tonight. The West Carter Lady Patriot softball team. We're going to be recognizing them shortly here. And we're also going to recognize our wonderful police department. And we got a special recognition for them. But with no further ado, I'm going to call on Mayor Pro Tem Ballou for the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the many blessings that you provide for us each and every day. Thank you, Father, for Morehead City, for giving us the greatest place on earth to live, to work, and to raise our families, Lord. Father, we thank you for this meeting tonight. Thank you for everyone that is here. And we pray, Lord, that you will give your mayor, council, and staff wisdom and guidance as we make decisions for our city. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, guys. And before I go into the presentations, there was a record-breaking day out to Big Rock today. Marlin Fever reeled in a 919.9 pound fish, which is a record-breaking fish. That's the biggest fish ever caught at the Big Rock. And then shortly after that, a couple hours later, another crew came in with a 546-pound fish. So there's excitement all over the city right now. And again, hats off to Big Rock for another successful tournament. So presentation of North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation, NCLEA. Chief.
Hello. Hi, everybody. So I got a couple people here with me today. So Chief Hollingshead with the Chiefs Association for North Carolina is here to explain what exactly this all is in words much finer than mine. But I'll say that accreditation for an agency, to me, there's no greater example of demonstration of your professionalism or of transparency of an agency. So that's what it means to me personally. There's a lot of hard work put into this with my deputy chief as our dual-hatted accreditation manager, and then there's a bunch of other folks in the room back. Well, there's a handful of folks in the room back here who have been major players in this. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Chief Hollingshead.
Okay. I've told some people earlier it's going to be hard to compete with a 919-pound blue marlin, but we're going to give it a shot. There you go. Mayor Stiles, members of the City Council, City Manager Martin, Chief Dixon, members of the Morehead City Police Department, and citizens of Morehead City. As the chairman of the North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, it's my honor to be here tonight. Tonight we celebrate a milestone for the Morehead City Police Department and the entire Morehead City community. On behalf of the NCLEA committee, I offer my sincere congratulations to the Morehead City Police Department for earning the North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation Award. They've met all 116 standards of professional excellence. After final approval from the NCLEA Accreditation Committee, the Criminal Justice Standards Commission for the state of North Carolina confirmed the award for full accreditation on May the 8th of 2026. This award is more than just a framed certificate. It reflects months of disciplined work through policy review, rigorous training, careful documentation, and commendable professionalism by the officers and staff across the entire department. It is tangible recognition that the Morehead City Police Department operates with accountability, transparency, and consistent current best practices that protect both public safety and constitutional safeguards. I want to emphasize that word current. As best practices evolve in the areas of leadership development, crisis intervention, data systems, officer wellness, early intervention systems, and other critical areas, the North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation Program will assist agencies in developing policies and procedures to ensure that we are meeting the needs for our officers, our employees, and our communities as a whole. I need to commend Chief Dixon, the command staff, and every member of the department who contributed their time and expertise. And I especially want to thank Deputy Chief Tuttle, who also performed the role of accreditation manager. The role of accreditation manager is most often a standalone job, but she was able to continue in her role as deputy chief and do an outstanding job with Morehead City's accreditation process. And thank you to the City Council and the City Administration for your leadership and support of this ever-evolving process. Achieving accreditation benefits the entire community. It strengthens public confidence, reduces departmental risks and liability, supports officer development and retention, and positions Morehead City as a forward-thinking professional municipality. It also commits the agency to continuous improvement. Accreditation is not an endpoint, but a standard that must be maintained and built upon. This accomplishment stands as a testament to the dedication, professionalism, and sincere commitment of the Morehead City Police Department to upholding excellence in law enforcement. Please join me in congratulating the Morehead City Police Department for this well-deserved honor and in supporting their continued pursuit of excellence. Chief. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, could I make a quick comment?
Yes.
It was my pleasure to be here originally when the department was accredited by a different association, but I do feel it's important to point out to the public as well as remind the board that through the leadership of the department and the wisdom of city leadership and this elected board's support, this not only emphasizes the items mentioned by the representative tonight, but it also creates a situation where we're awarded certain benefits financially to the taxpayers by lowering insurance costs and other items that are awarded to communities that qualify for this. So it's a good investment for the city, and I congratulate the department on, one, just maintaining accreditation of some type, but now expanding it to something more tangible and beneficial to the community. So congratulations to all, including yourselves, for supporting it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Randy. Let's give our wonderful police department another round of applause. Okay, to item 2B, presentation of proclamation celebrating the Lady Patriots softball team of West Carter High School. I'm going to ask the council to step down with me. So after the proclamation, we're going to take a photo with the team.
You want the team to come in now, Mayor?
Yeah, and the team, you guys can come in now.
Mayor, can we just have the council stand?
Just stand.
Current seat, so they'll be able to see you.
Okay.
Make sure you're off camera.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Come on up, please. Come on here.
We need to move left a
Come
little
on. Oh, we're gonna slide there?
Everybody smells good but me, so just, everybody smells good but me, I smell like a fish.
bit. Yeah, you do.
So, let's move.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm really proud of what these young ladies did this spring. I was following along on social media and also on the news, and superstar picture right here, Caitlin. She's going to Lewisburg to continue her education, so let's give her a round of applause for that. Yeah, superstar catcher. Yeah, Rodriguez. So I've been following them. Amazing team. They made history this year, and like I said earlier, they're definitely rock stars. So it's an honor to present them with this proclamation tonight. The Morehead City Proclamation celebrating the Lady Patriots of West Carter High School, whereas the West Carter High School Lady Patriots softball team earned its first appearance in the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Fast Pitch Softball State Championship in more than 30 years, and whereas the Lady Patriots completed a historic and memorable 2026 season with an outstanding 22-6 record, capturing the East Regional Championship and earning the distinction of North Carolina High School Athletic Association 5A State Runners-Up. And whereas the players, Kirsten Braswell, Olivia Cuthero, Caitlin Dumars, Aubrey Forsythe, Aurora Goodyear, Emma Jones, Kaylin Margupis, Addison Pavey, Ella Grace Rodriguez, Morgan Sawyer, Isabella Turner, and Millie Kate Young have represented West Carter High School, their families, and the entire Morehead City community with pride, integrity, dedication, and excellence. Whereas the success of the Lady Patriots was guided by the leadership and commitment of head coach Chris Margupis, Coach Michael Greason, assistant coach Bree Caldwell, assistant coach Micaiah Mitchell, and assistant coach Justin Parrish. And whereas the accomplishments of the Lady Patriots have inspired their fellow students, brought pride to their school and community, and demonstrated the positive impact of hard work, perseverance, and teamwork. Now, therefore, I, Lee Anthony Stiles, Mayor, on behalf of the Morehead City Council, do hereby recognize and congratulate the West Carter High School Lady Patriots softball team for their outstanding achievements during the 2026 season and commend them for their dedication, athletic excellence, and exemplary representation of our entire community, dated this 9th day of June, 2026. Coach Margupis. All right.
Act like you like each other. Who made the short jump?
BG. Rachel was fond of the whole time.
Sure he does. Oh, yeah, he's got to.
Oh, gotcha. Does this thing work?
Oh, yeah.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Great.
Good, great, thank you. So good evening. I already told the mayor already, normally I have the best beard when I walk into a room. I'll have to defer to him for this occasion.
So on behalf of the players, coaches, and families, thank you for this incredible honor. Being recognized by our town means more to us than you know. This season was special. These young ladies made history. You heard all about it. Finished state runner-ups. We were regional champions. Won the conference for the second year in a row. And so it's been a wild ride. Throughout this period, I'm more proud of their character, work ethic, and resilience that they showed throughout the season than the wins or losses, and all the things that they accomplished. Softball, especially coaching, we want them to be good citizens and teach them about life and stuff like that. And this season, while they can all agree, it probably wasn't always easy and it probably wasn't always fun. But they stuck it out. They learned to love each other. And we showed what you can do when a bunch of people come together and for a common goal. So I'd like to thank the mayor, town council, school administration, families, and our amazing community for supporting the girls every step of the way. One of the most memorable parts of this season wasn't just what happened on the field, but what happened watching the entire community come together for them. To the players, championships and trophies are wonderful, but the friendships you've built, lessons you've learned, and the legacy you left behind will last much longer. I told them at the state championship, there's little kids, there's little girls that are going to play softball because of this group of people right here, and that's awesome. So I'm super proud about that. And thank you again for the recognition and celebrating these young ladies. Thank you.
Now, you can stick around if you want. Yeah, that's fine. I said, you can stick around if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Coach. Good job. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you got two West Carter alum stuff here.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you.
Good job, way to go. You're
Coach,
better.
more people. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations,
Nice
sir.
job.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Good job.
Take care, Coach. Nice to meet you too.
All right. That's fun stuff. Now I get to go to work.
Okay, so item number 3, the city council has had the opportunity to look over the agenda, but at this time, you guys had the option to add something to the agenda, but also to pull something as well. So if there's no discussion on it, if I can entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight as presented.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Harvey Walker.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem George Ballou. With any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Item 4, adoption of the consent agenda. So the consent agenda is a laundry list of items that the council discuss and deliberate amongst themselves with during our committee meetings throughout the month. And they're basically housekeeping items. But the council has the power to pull any item off of consent to bring it on new business for further discussion. But if the council wants to at this time, there's a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to go ahead and adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Richard Abel,
All right, second.
seconded by Councilmember Bill Taylor. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay. So now on to our public hearings. Item number 5A, reconvene the public hearing to consider adoption of ordinance 2026-0-09, rezoning of 202 Pensacola Avenue. Okay. So since our last meeting, the applicant has withdrawn its request for the rezoning. And with no further public comment being necessary, I'm going to ask for council to entertain a motion to accept this withdrawing request of 202, rezoning of 202 Pensacola Avenue.
I certainly will, Mr. Mayor. I'll make that recommendation and close the public hearing.
Okay,
Mayor, yep, you did, never mind. I was sure you were gonna miss that. You hit it.
I learned.
Close.
I learned. I knew it had to be closed.
yep, this will close the public hearing and until further reconsideration. Yep. So motion made by Councilmember Abel,
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
seconded by Mayor Pro Tem George Baloo. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous, and public hearing is now closed. Okay, item 5B, approve ordinance 2026-0-10, approving the site development master plan for Spooner's Cove Plan Development to be located at 300 Bryan Street. Sandy, your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The applicant, Spooner's Cove LLC, through the Cullifer Group, has submitted a request for City Council consideration of the site development master plan for Spooner's Cove, located at 300 Bryan Street. The sketch plan was previously approved by the City Council, and this is the next phase in the site development process for the plan development. This slide shows an aerial photograph of the subject property and the surrounding area. The development is proposed on an approximately 39.5 acre tract located south of Highway 24 and west of Bryan Street. This slide depicts the site development master plan for the project, a copy of which is available in the agenda materials. The project includes 71 residential lots, 1 commercial lot, internal roadways, open space areas, and marina-related amenities, including an upland marina basin with up to 68 private marina slips. This slide summarizes the permitted uses associated with the approved plan development. Only uses depicted on the approved site development master plan and associated application materials may be established on the site. And as indicated here, no further review by the City Council is required after the site development master plan is approved. The applicant has submitted required permits and approvals, including those shown on the screen, and that includes the state stormwater permit, sedimentation erosion control, CAMA permits, and the other permits listed there, water extension, wastewater collection. We've received copies of the deed restrictions, draft restrictive covenants, and bylaws, as well as the intersection analysis, which was required by the City Council at the sketch plan phase. Remaining permits and approvals associated with later phases of the development, including phases 2 and 3, will be required before those phases can proceed, and approval is conditioned upon that, as recommended by staff. This slide contains excerpts from the intersection analysis completed by DRMP engineers, and the study was required by the City Council as a condition of the previously approved sketch plan. The analysis recommended no intersection improvements, and the full study and supporting documentation were included with the agenda materials, and questions regarding the study can be directed to the development team. This is a list of the applicant agreed upon conditions, again, included in your materials. It addresses project phasing, permitting requirements, public access considerations, and other items identified during the staff review, including provisions intended to preserve the opportunity for a publicly accessible nature park should funding become available in the future. This depicts the preliminary plat that was approved by the planning board contingent upon approval of the site development master plan. And this will allow the developer to begin construction of infrastructure of the northern portion of the site, including the area where the commercial outparcel, residential lots 1 through 55, and all required open space areas are shown. And final plat approval is required prior to conveyance of any lots. This depicts a a couple of alternate landscape plans approvals that were made by the planning board during their review. And it just proposes to leave the areas shown in pink and green in a natural state based upon the presence of existing wetlands and mature natural vegetation. And this was another area on the southeastern portion of the site with a minimal area proposed to be left natural. All other areas of the site would be subject to the requirements of the city's landscape ordinance. And this was subject to, it's approved by the planning board subject to the city council's approval of the site development master plan. The property was posted with public hearing signs on May 27th. Notice requirements associated with this request were completed in accordance with the UDO requirements and applicable state law. The planning board met on May 19th and unanimously recommended approval of the site development master plan subject to the applicant agreed upon conditions depicted on your screen and in your agenda materials. And the planning board, as I mentioned, also approved preliminary plat for phase 1, as well as the alternate landscape plan amendments, contingent upon the council's approval of the site development master plan. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Sandy. Does the council have any questions for Sandy?
Sandy, I'm not sure this is a question for you or for the developers. When do we expect the Coastal Federation to make a final decision concerning the funding of the partial request?
My understanding is that will be in the fall time period. I'm looking for Kelly, but the end of August. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I know they'll be glad to get that behind. Thank you.
Any other questions for Sandy? Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Public hearing is now open. If there's anybody that wants to get up and speak in favor of this request or in opposition, Mr. Culliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Ron Cullifer. I'm representing Spinners Cove LLC. Excuse me. All of you have seen this project numerous times over the last several years. At this point, the permitting requirements that were needed to start construction phase 1 are in place. Excuse me. We're hoping the final permits will be coming shortly. But you know, if you're granted this approval, we can at least start on the north side of the project and allow some infrastructure to move forward. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for Sandy and her staff to working with us getting to where we are today. And again, the conditions that are on the screen are conditions that the clients have agreed to.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing and hearing no one, public hearing is now closed.
All right,
There'll be a
Mr. Mayor,
motion.
I'm going to make this motion to approve ordinance 2026-0-10, approving the site development master plan for the Spooners Cove planned development to be located at 300 Bryan Street.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Richard Abel.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Nathan Chambers. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, all indicate that are in favor by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay.
Congratulations.
Time to get to work.
Yeah, congratulations, Zach. Item number 5C, adopt fiscal year 2026, 2027 annual budget ordinance 2026-13.1. So, Mr. Randy or Jewel?
I'd like to make a few comments if I could, Mayor. And
Yes, sir.
I think a copy of the information that we have from administrative standpoint is at your locations. These would be my pre-public hearing remarks on the proposed budget that was presented to you on May 12th for consideration. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and citizens of Morehead City, in accordance with the provisions of the city charter and the state's Budget and Fiscal Control Act. Respectfully submitted for your consideration on May 12th was the recommended budget for fiscal year '27, along with the recommended 5-year capital improvement program, or CIP as we refer to it, for fiscal years '27 through '31. Combined, these documents provide a comprehensive financial roadmap for Morehead City, one that guides operational decision-making, reinforces organizational values, advances city council's strategic priorities, and supports essential community initiatives. With these council-authorized budget resources, city management and staff will strive to deliver services as efficiently and effectively as possible. This proposed budget reflects a commitment toward fiscal stewardship aimed at achieving operational excellence. It is a strategic investment with a goal of proactive change management going forward. To this end, during the fiscal year ahead, management commits to undertaking a comprehensive physical assessment or reset effort, as we deemed it during the workshops, to determine the physical health of city operations and services, with findings and recommendations to be presented to council for consideration as the council determines desired public service levels and priorities going forward. The proposed budget represents a balanced budget totaling approximately $42.1 million for the fiscal year beginning July 1 through June 30 of '27, of which the general fund constitutes almost $20 million. The balance is comprised of enterprise funds for city utility operations of approximately $10.8 million and sanitation services of $1.3 million. Enclosed for emphasis with this report prepared by the Finance Department under the leadership of our Assistant Manager, Joel Lassiter, for emphasis is a summary of major budget highlights reviewed by the council and staff in detail at budget workshops held on May 12th prior to the regular meeting and on the 19th. Of significance during those sessions were the following. Proposed general fund budget as recommended holds the line on the property tax rate. There is no recommended increase in full-time equivalent staffing levels, and the budget reflects an overall spending reduction of approximately 3% under the current fiscal year levels. In closing on these comments, having only begun official duties as city manager on May 1st, obviously the budget process to date could not have been accomplished without the concerted efforts of the city's exceptional leadership team, particularly both assistant city managers, along with the dedicated department heads and entire staff. I acknowledge and sincerely appreciate all their efforts, particularly during the period of managerial transition over the last few months. Likewise, I'm grateful for the council providing me with the opportunity to continue in public service and be entrusted with the responsibility of city manager in this wonderful community which we call home. May God continue to bless Morehead City, North Carolina. Respectfully submitted on my behalf, it was Randy Martin as city manager. With those things said, I'd like to ask Jewel to comment on the budget summary for those who don't have a copy in the public and who'll be watching this at a later time, as she put together this short list of some of the priority numbers and items related to the budget proposal that has been presented to you for consideration at this public hearing. After which, Mr. Mayor and council, I would recommend you hold the public hearing and then close it for council deliberation on the budget proposal.
All right, Jewel?
Good evening. So no death by PowerPoint this time. One slide, as you see up there. And up there is just an overall summary of what we talked about at the two council budget workshops that were held on May 12th and May 19th, and some of what was mentioned by City Manager Randy Martin just now. So the current proposed budget, we heard at one of the budget sessions, we talked about the budget survey and some of the citizens' requests. This budget is an attempt to balance the priorities from the requests that we've heard of reducing taxes, maintaining services and funding capital, in addition to making sure that we keep our current funding for some of our more critical operations, emergency services and the like. The proposed budget recommendations are 8.5 million reduction overall, up from departmental requests, 3% spending reduction compared to the current year, maintaining the tax rate, does have a 5% water and sewer rate increase, maintains the solid waste charge at $24.50, that's the monthly charge, and it funds the critical and priority capital items, and it maintains current service levels.
Does the council have any questions for Jewel?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Mr. Martin or Joel. I know during the budget workshops, Mr. Martin and Joel, there was some discussion that we could bring down the rate to 34 flat. Is this the appropriate time to discuss that for those that's here and maybe those that may be looking at this at a later date? I mean, is
That would be up to the discretion of the mayor and council, but you may want to hold the public hearing first before
Okay.
you debate it. That'd be my
so that's
suggestion.
when we do after the public hearing. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jewel?
I want to make a comment. Joel, I was super impressed at the job that you and your team did putting this together. I've looked at a lot of budgets, and this is the best one I've ever seen as far as presentation and information and things like that. I think you're a treasure for the city. It's awesome that we
I
have you.
appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank
that's
you.
really
Yeah,
great.
I have a phenomenal team.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And one other comment, since Councilman Nathan just spoke up, I would like to say that we appreciate him taking a lot of time to come in after he returned, was gone for part of the workshop period. I know he did his homework, but we spent several hours, he and I and the finance director, Ms. Lassiter, reviewing the budget, and he's, I know, spent hours reviewing the documentation we provided, as well as listening to the meetings that were held so that he would be well informed. But I do appreciate that. He went above and beyond the call, being really newer to it, or just as new, almost a little less new than me as manager this time around. I just thought for the public's sake, they need to understand that this isn't his first discussion on the budget tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Randy. Okay, public hearing is now open. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to get up and speak in favor of the budget as proposed or in opposition, you may come at this time. All right, Mr. Jimmy, state your name and address.
My name is James H. Walker Jr. My address is 1503 Bay Street, Morehead City, North Carolina. I looked at the budget and I looked at that 34, 25, 100% rate that we're asking for. But keep in mind that between 24 and 25, property values in this county double, at least for the Morehead City area, double and triple. My recommendation would be, I looked at it a couple of times, would be 24 cents per 100 for the upcoming year. 24 cents per 100. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Is there anyone else? Sir, state your name and address.
My name is Joe Giallo, 5129 Holly Lane. So just to confirm an understanding here, when I look at this, I see 34.25 cents. The revenue neutral rate before the revaluation was 27 cents and change. So this rate is a 26% increase, if I understand it properly. And as far as the budget goes, it, a 3% reduction. The previous year, as I understood it, was an 18% increase. So we're still 15% above a revenue neutral position. So we've raised taxes and increased spending. I really haven't heard much in the way of explanation, much less a compelling justification. I was hoping to hear that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Good seeing you. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing and hearing no one else, public hearing is now closed. Council?
Is it okay now for me to ask that question, Mr. Martin?
That's fine with me.
Okay. we had talked during the budget workshop, and when you come on board, I asked, was there any way for any reduction in the tax rate? And me and you discussed it several times, and then you brought back a proposal that we could maybe flatten the 34 cent, maybe cut the quarter of a cent, and you proposed a way to do that. Did you share that with those that are here now, and maybe those will be watching in the future?
Okay, I'll ask Jewel again if she would. Can you review that? We do have, I've got that document if you don't. Yeah, that was a potential during the discussion about what could be done if you chose to go that route during the workshops.
And I understand that it's not your recommendation, but there is a way to bring it down at some, if the council chooses to go that route.
Okay.
So the options were to take the proposed tax rate at 0.3425, a small contingency reduction of approximately 30,000, which is 0.0007 cents, to reduce the annual street ends and alleyways surveying that's currently at 62,000 down to 37,000, and that's 0.0009. Taking a one-time appropriation of fund balance, and this is due to the budget shows a reduced revenue for some of the services and activities going on at the rec center because of the construction. So doing a one-time appropriation of fund balance to cover that reduction rather than the rest of the revenues covering it of 39,548, which is also 0.0009, and that would bring the tax rate down to 0.34 flat.
Thank you, Jewel.
Thank you, Joe.
And as Jewel just stated, these service level reductions are at minimal impact as far as us and operating as a city. We just heard from Mr. Joe Giallo. We just heard from Mr. Jimmy Walker, and they were talking about our latest increases that we've done. We've done 2 property tax rate increases the last 2 years, 2 utility rate increases. When I was on the council, what I've been hearing from not just these 2 gentlemen, but from citizens, is that they're crying for some sort of relief for the tax burden. Have a lot of citizens living on fixed incomes, like I've stated over and over again. Jewel just gave us a presentation of just dropping it a quarter of a penny with minimal impact on service levels. I truly just don't understand why we can't honor our citizens who have gotten up and spoken about relief of a tax burden and just bring the rate to 34 flat to show them that we are listening to them and we do care about their needs and their concerns. And I just wanted to say that before we go on.
Jill, before you leave, I do have a question. By reducing the tax rate, that also reduces the amount of money that we would probably receive or would receive in sales tax from the state, which the county distributes. Is that not correct?
That is correct. It would follow, the impact would take an additional year, but it would reduce our allocation rate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a year in arrears, but it would have an impact on the
Okay.
tax rate.
Yep.
Okay.
Do y'all know how great of an impact?
Without knowing what everybody else is going to formally adopt, an estimation, I actually don't even want to give you that without that numbers, because there's a lot of math that goes into that. You have to look at every municipality in the county's assessed value. You have to look at their tax rate in order to determine what that percentage might be.
Yeah. And us losing out on that sales tax, the extra sales tax revenue, that pales in comparison to what our citizens are going through right now with the property tax rate. As Mr. Jimmy stated, majority of Morehead City property values have doubled and tripled. Of course, again, we don't control the property values, but it is our responsibility to control the property tax rate. So if we can do something to alleviate that burden from our constituents. I'm just asking the council to do so this evening.
Well, again, we in a discussion phase at this point.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
I can only speak for Richard Abel, that the people that have been in touch with me, I have asked for us to leave the tax rate as is. Don't raise it, but leave it where it is. And I'm in favor of doing that, based on the fact that we hired Randy Martin, who's a professional city manager. Obviously, he was here at one time before, and he asked us at the last budget workshop that he was going to propose the 34.25, but give him time to look at the departments, and he even stated it in his message to us that he's committed to undertake a comprehensive fiscal assessment or reset effort to determine the fiscal health of city operations and service. I think it's only fair for us to give him that time to do that. So that's my statement.
Thank you, Councilman Abel.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a comment. I'm a person that believes we ought to keep the spending rate level. I say that because as you look at that chart up there, we have reduced 3% of the spending requests that department heads made. So there's one reduction. A second one, we had to absorb the inflation rate of what everybody has spending for materials. There's another form of reduction. We have also learned, or I have in the last 14 years, that sometime even when you make a minimum change in your current rate plan, you create more problems downrange. And I'm going to give you the illustration of that. When COVID hit, we were worried about income, and we're worried about jobs, and, we didn't know what was taking place. So we reduced the water and sewer rate and just basically held it level for about 5 years. What is the result of that? If you're not setting aside the money that you're projected to need year after year after year, we come up with this year having to do a 5% increase instead of a 3%. So anytime you make that reduction, you have to think of the long-term effect of what it does for your future spending plan. I think also that we have a new mayor, we have a new city councilman here, we have a new city manager, and we need to have the time to not make a half-hearted token adjustment of $6.25 based on a $250,000 house. We need to take that in-depth dive that Randy's recommending and reset the budget process. I have significant concerns about our overtime rate, our part-time rate, the number of employees we have, and our future staffing plans, because we've added 26 people in a relatively short time. To do that and to do it right, we need to give that man and his staff the opportunity to do that in-dive look. And as such, I don't want this to be a token, statement to the audience. I would like for the attorney to suggest how we can memorialize that with an amendment that conditions the outcome on directing the mayor to conduct that study, complete it, perform his analysis, and make his recommendations by January 1, 2026.
You
This
mean the
would
manager?
give us,
Do you mean the city manager?
City manager.
city manager.
Oh, you
I'm
said the
sorry.
mayor.
I'm sorry.
I'll take the help.
I think this gives us ample time to do it, and it prepares us for the budget for next year. That's my comment.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilman Taylor.
I'm going to say this, and maybe I don't know if it's going to sound right, but I'm going to say it anyway. We proposed, or we did a 7-cent increase from the taxpayers last year. And we're now going to give them a quarter of a penny back. I don't like that. I really don't. I don't think that we should get our citizens used to doing that. And I don't think that you all should accept that. We should do better. Now, a quarter of a penny, really? We're going to take 7 cents and give you a quarter of a penny back. No. We can do better than that. Now, I've had some people I've discussed this with, and they jokingly, they told me what I could do with a quarter of a penny. Okay? But I'm just saying, we can do better than that. Now, a lot of people want to do things for optics, just to say we cut your taxes. Really? I think we could do more with that extra quarter of a penny than the people just giving it to you. But I hear this gentleman here. We can do a whole lot better, but we've got to give this city manager time to do it. We're paying him a generally good salary, and this is his recommendation. But just my gut feeling to take, I'm just a common guy, a little businessman, but if I take 7 cents from you and then offer you a quarter of a penny that I can't even give you right now, if I wanted to try to give you a quarter of a penny right now, I couldn't do it. Because it's nothing but optics. So we can say, we cut your taxes. No. So my position is, let's do some real things. Let's give this man a chance to find out 2 and 3 cents, 4 or 5 cents. But I'm not going to throw that quarter of a penny out there just to satisfy you. Take this and go ahead on. No. That's not the way I operate. So to me, it's an insult to you, and I just can't believe it. But that's not the way to do it, just to be optics to say, we cut your taxes, really. We take 7 cents and give you a quarter of a penny that I can't even give you right now. There's no such thing. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry if anybody got offended, but
Well, Councilman Walker, I'm not doing this for optics. And I'm not saying it just to be saying that I gave a reduction. I would like to say tonight that I would like to give 1 cent. And we have until June 30th to pass this budget. So if you would like to have some more budget workshops, so let's see if we can get this down 1 cent, then I'm willing to take that challenge. But I also think that any reduction that we could do, and I asked Ms. Laster and Mr. Martin what we could do to really bring down without jeopardizing the budget. And this is what they recommended to us.
But it
Yes,
is jeopardy.
but I've got the floor. I wish we could do more, and I want to do more, and I'm ready to do more. But I'm willing to reduce it to quarter of a penny and give Mr. Martin an opportunity to come back. But to accuse the ones that maybe would be voting for this as theatrics tonight, absolutely not. Any reduction, I've heard 6 cents, I've heard 12 cents, but any reduction, I think that our taxpayers and our citizens would appreciate it. At least that we're listening to them and that we're reducing the tax rate. And then we will give Mr. Martin an opportunity. But to say that we're doing this for theatrics, absolutely not. I wish we could do more. I started the budget process with Mr. Martin and with Ms. Lassiter, 1 cent. We were hoping for 2 cents, but this is where we find ourselves. So yes, if you want to, let's go back into budget work sessions and let's see if we can find a penny, I'm all for it. But this is where we're at tonight.
Okay, let me correct myself, George. First of all, my statement was a general statement. I wasn't accusing anybody up here. But it seems to be in vogue to say, we cut your taxes. Everybody wants to say that. I don't know what your motive is. I don't know what anybody's motive is here. But I'm just saying that people are out there saying, cut your taxes. That's the buzzword, okay? But to me, I do not think if we have taken 7 cents and going to give somebody, we can't even give them a quarter of a penny. Right now, it would take them 4 years to get a penny, and they don't even make pennies anymore. I mean, so I'm just thinking that's an insult to turn around and give something to somebody. We need to do better. Now, just to give it to them and take that going away. No, I'm going to stand by this. I think it's an insult for us to turn around and try to offer somebody a quarter of a penny, okay? These are not children. These are adults. These are working people. But to offer somebody a quarter of a penny after we've taken 7 cents, like you said, we can definitely do a whole lot better. So my thing is, let's wait until we can do better before we offer something like that, just so you can say, we gave you something. So that person won't call you up and say, oh, thank you so much for a quarter of a penny. I don't think you'll get a phone call because they can't. Here's something for you, George. I got $100 for you. Give me a quarter of a penny. $100. Can you do it? Vaporware. I'm just saying, I am not accusing a person up here. These are all honorable men. But the buzzword out there now is cut taxes. That's what everybody wants to do. Okay? I'm all for it, believe me. But let's do some real cutting. I'm not doing token, it's just not, I just can't go with that. I can't. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and give somebody a quarter of a penny. Give them 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, a penny. But a quarter of a penny, there's no such thing. And I'm not accusing not one person on there. I want to make sure that's clear. There's not a person on this board that I'm accusing of doing this for optics. That's the buzzword out there. Everybody wants to say, we cut taxes, we cut taxes. I think that we need to hold taxes the way they are, give Mr. Martin a chance to cut taxes and really cut something, but not to give somebody a token. And then to take something from an area, Now, I don't know your relationship or how you talk, George, how you all talk to the city manager. I mean, you put him in a situation, he just gets here. I don't know why if he felt that was right, he would have done it in the beginning. But I can't go that way. I really can't. I think that it's an insult to our citizens to even offer them something like that. I think we can do a whole lot better. Thank you for the time, man.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Walker, and no offense taken by anything that you said, but I'm going to cite a story that WITN 7 News did on a Jennifer Smith regarding her great-grandmother's property in the Promised Land District. That she is I think she just raised the money through a GoFundMe on social media, so she won't be, she will be able to pay her taxes, and she won't be able to be kicked out of her home. But right here in our backyard, within city limits in the Promised Land District, we got a lady who her family for decades had owned this home. But because of taxes, tax values, just like I was stating earlier, going up, and also property tax rates, her home was about to be foreclosed. But luckily, they started a GoFundMe on social media, and she was able to come up with the $8,000 she had to pay back. You offered to pay taxes, delinquent taxes, to people who couldn't pay their tax bill at our last budget session workshop.
Mayor, I didn't say delinquent. I said if somebody cannot pay that .25 that
you-
you all are asking.
You weren't specific when you said
Well,
that.
that's what we were discussing at that time. You were not talking about that right there at the last meeting.
I wasn't talking about this, but you
Right.
offered, you said
I
if
said-
anybody's behind on their taxes,
No,
you
no,
will,
no, no, no,
you
I
will
said-
offer to pay their
I
taxes.
said if they are not able, let me clarify that right now. If anybody cannot pay their taxes because of us not cutting the 0.25%, to a quarter of a penny, I will take care of that for you. If your taxes cannot be paid because of this, because you're still having to pay a 0.25, whatever that is, I'm good to go. Now, I put it out there, that's what I mean. If because of what we're doing, because we don't cut that rate by a quarter of a penny, if that causes you to lose your home, come see me. And they can put that in the paper.
Now, you said that we can do better. That's why I heard you say throughout your speech right there. And you're right, we can do better. So I heard you say that doing better is if you were talking about cutting it by a penny or two. But you're telling the citizens that they have to wait a year to do better because we just hired our new city manager. Why does the citizens have to wait for us to do better when we had the opportunity to do better right now, tonight?
To me, Mayor, a quarter of a penny, really?
But you said we can do better. Let's talk about a penny.
Wait a minute.
The council, y'all have the power to reduce
We're
it.
talking about a quarter of a penny. That's the subject here. The subject is a quarter of a penny. That's the discussion. You're telling me that a quarter of a penny, okay, is gonna make the difference. I'm saying that the city having that extra quarter of a penny can do better than a person out there on their own.
Why can't we do better right now then? This is the opportunity. This is the budget hearing. Why can't we do better right now? You just heard two citizens that pay city taxes that stay
Both
within
of
our
them,
city
all right,
limits.
the one person was talking about county taxes. I understand that. He didn't say anything about the quarter of a penny, okay? I didn't hear anything about no quarter of a penny. Okay, now,
Who was talking about county taxes?
say again?
Who was talking about county taxes?
Well,
said one of them was
I
talking
think
about
somebody
county
talking about his property values doubled or tripled.
Yeah, Mr. Jimmy said that the
But
majority
he
of
didn't mention, he
Morehead,
didn't mention of a quarter of a penny.
but the majority of Morehead property values have doubled.
But we
and
didn't
tripled.
do that.
I plainly stated that we don't control that, but we control the property tax rate. Why should we make our citizens wait a year?
I'm not saying
To
they're
re-
gonna wait a year. Mr. Martin is already in charge with what Mr. Taylor, we've already agreed that he's gonna be looking at ways we can cut our rate, but he has to have time to do it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm-
all I'm saying. You wanna throw that out there and say, okay, take this and wait a quarter of a year to see if we do something better. I'm not doing that. You're gonna throw, here, take that and go, because I done gave you a quarter, I cut your rate. No, take this and go away. No. I'd rather have that gentleman sitting right there to have him. He's got everything to work with, and we're gonna go ahead and let him take a chance to come back and say, okay, let's see what we can do. Nobody has to wait. All I'm saying is, I'm not gonna insult the citizens by giving them a quarter of a penny after I've taken 7 cents. I can't do that.
But you're insulting them by telling them they gotta wait a year for us to
I'm not
reduce
saying they gotta wait a
taxes.
year. I didn't say
That's
that.
what you just said.
I have not said that. I said
You said we're gonna wait for next year for Mr.
6
Ramsey.
months. I think Mr. Taylor has charged that he's gonna come back, Mr. Martin's gonna come back within 6 months. He's gotta have a chance to review everything.
And we're not gonna, and that, the next budget hearing is gonna be June of next year. That's them waiting a year.
Well, they're waiting a year, so you're saying give them a quarter of a penny and then let them wait a year. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we need to do something to honor their wishes, to alleviate them of this tax burden. And y'all have the power. Y'all could say, look, we wanna go greater than a quarter of a penny. The council has the power to do that. I'm just tired of ignoring our citizens. Like I stated before, throughout my whole campaign, the consensus from the citizens was, Lee, please, can you guys reduce property tax rates? And I told them, I said, look, I'm gonna fight for it, but it's all on the council. Y'all have the power. You said that we can do better. You said that. So we can do better. Why can't we do better right now? Why wait a year?
Because the city manager has made his report. This is about here and now. This is it. We're here now. This is where we are. This is where we are.
So the citizens gotta wait till June 2027.
I'm not saying what
for
the
us to-
citizens have to do. I'm just telling you what the city manager has presented. I'm going with what I believe in what he has to say. I'm supporting him. We hired him. We're paying him very well. And he's a seasoned person. And I'm just going to go with what he says.
There's
Let-
no
let
dispute
me
that.
offer the future to think about. No one likes to wait for a potential savings of anything that I spend. But let's think about, as a council, has anyone said to you, I am willing to take less services if you reduce my tax rate significantly? The answer is no. We like our trash service. We like the fact that the gentleman drives by in that big truck and picks up brush and tree limbs and keeps our streets looking clean. We like the fact that we spend $500,000 a year maintaining the road services in Morehead. We have 51 miles of streets. We can't get it all done, but we try to keep abreast. We have an excellent finance department.
We do.
And we have a gentleman that has come to us with 40 years almost of city manager experience. And their financial recommendation has been, we can't look at all of the different financial inputs necessary to develop a solid budget that they do not think will create problems. Give us time to do that and we'll produce the product for you. That's what they've said to us. I have absolute faith in Randy and the finance department. And I am willing to support the request by them to give them through December to dig into every nook and cranny and see what they can find for us. I think that's the right way to go. That's the prudent way to go. So that's my comment.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion.
I have some
If it gets a second, that's fine, and Mr. Chambers can talk at that point, because there'll be a discussion at
Yes,
that
yeah, it
point.
will be.
Is that
Yeah.
okay with
Yeah,
you,
yes, sir.
Mr. Chambers?
I would like to kind of just go.
Yeah,
ahead.
you go right ahead. I don't want to step on your toes.
Yeah, I'm kind of in favor of going with a flat 34 cents. But I'm looking at it from a different approach. As I talked to you guys, I read the budget from cover to cover. I had a great meeting with Joel and Leanne and Randy, went over a bunch of other questions there too, and then came back with Randy with some follow-up questions. And when we talk about the services and impacting the services, as I look through the budget, I think we can make an immediate kind of impact on saving money without reducing services. The first thing I looked at is the overtime. The overtime's got to get under control. Oh, the overtime, has got to get better managed. I know there's a lot of challenges, and we have overtime in departments. You can't leave if a water main's broken or if a fire's taking place or you're investigating something with the police department. And there's also things that overlap where you have to have so many people, available for services, and you're having to go do training and things of that nature. So there is a significant amount of overtime, and it's got to be expected. But I think some areas and some departments can kind of manage that overtime a little bit better to save some money. I also look at the fleet, and I've talked to a lot of friends that have been in kind of government like this too, and I think the fleet utilization and management needs to be looked at, particularly if you got old vehicles that need to be auctioned or whatnot, which you kind of bring in some revenue for that. And then do we have vehicles that are so worn out that the garage is having to spend tons of money on it and save money there? And so I see areas there where we could save money, and then where we're looking at revenue coming in, the water rate increase of 5% is very important, because from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, water department's been running at about $2 million deficit, are we? About $1 million. Yeah.
5-year effect of the maintaining rate. That was estimated to be about $1 million.
Yeah.
But every year, it's around $1 million.
And I understand you didn't want to impact the citizens back then because of the COVID, but at some point, we got to get those rates so that they're, we're revenue neutral. And tied into that, too, is also the tap fees. I know it costs a lot more to have the water and sewer taps than what the city's charging. So not something to make money and generate money, just more so that we're revenue neutral, and it's not impacting the citizens. And then, Chief Wade did a really good job because, Morehead City services the ETJ, which those in the audience, that's the, areas outside of the city. And they're often providing fire services and ambulance services to those areas. And Chief went to I believe it was to the county, and how many more, how much more did you get on that? So it's basically a 20% increase. Am I right in that area? Not quite that much. So, but the chief did a great job of, working with the county, which I think we need to work with the county, more often. But there's more, revenue that we think on the fire department that's going to come there. And then also, I think our sales tax we're getting in, I think is up. As I looked at that, I think we're up somewhere maybe around 19% on that. I got it in my notes somewhere. But our sales tax revenue is coming up. And then also, I think we're going to get a lot more revenue without increasing tax rates with all the new building that's going on here. I mean, Mr. Everhart's development is probably going to have now it takes a few years to realize this, but I think your development's going to probably have $70 to $80 million of tax base, more than likely closer to $100 million in tax base. So as I see more tax revenue coming in, I and looking through this budget, I think we're starting off with that 34 cents is a good way, because I just want to get started with this and trying to work on getting the rates, because that's what I hear all the time. It's a big burden in tax rates, and I know it's a small amount, and I agree with Mr. Walker about that, a small amount, but I just would like the idea of at least getting started on some stuff that doesn't have significant impact on services, and trying to serve the wishes of the citizens of Morehead City. And I would like to make one final comment too. I've talked to all these board members up here during this process. They are smart, they're intelligent, they're dedicated, and every one of them is doing this stuff, and none of them up here work for their self-interest. They are, everything they do, they're wanting to do is for the betterment of Morehead City and citizens of Morehead City. So I do want to thank you guys for the input and how you helped me on that too. It's been a pleasure, in my short time just serving with these guys. So, but those are my comments.
Thank you, Councilman Chambers. All right. Any other comments?
I'm going to make that motion and to adopt fiscal year 2026, 2027 annual budget ordinance 2026-13.1. In addition, adopt budget ordinance amendment 2026-13.2. Adopt budget ordinance amendment 2026-13.3, and adopt the fiscal year 2026, 2027 fee schedule as presented by the city manager earlier.
Motion made by Councilmember Abiel.
Richard, would you agree to the amendment that I requested, that we stipulate that?
Oh, for Mr. Martin, yes.
Mr. Martin is going to
us.
do his in-depth analysis and prepare a report with recommendations by the end of the year.
Yes, yeah, I don't mind putting that in there if that's appropriate, Mr. Attorney.
I would suggest that you pass the budget ordinances as you have actually read them through, and add a different motion.
Okay.
Instruct the manager to go as you would like.
Okay,
They don't necessarily go together, so separate vote.
all right.
So is there a second on that first motion?
I will second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bill Taylor.
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow citizens, and those that will be watching this at a later date, I hear you with wanting lower taxes. I hear you. And this tonight proves just a point that I can't even get you a quarter of a cent. I hope you don't take it as a slap in the face, and I hope you don't take it as theatrics. But I can't even get a quarter of a cent. I can't get support up here to lower your taxes, as small as it may be. I can't even get a quarter of a cent. I wanted 1 cent, and I can't get 1 cent. And I've offered to, we can pass this budget June 30th. It doesn't have to be passed tonight. We can make it happen. But I can't even get a quarter of a cent. I hear you. I'm listening. I'm doing everything I can, but I'm only one vote. Thank you for letting me serve you. That's my comment, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to say that the other 4 of us, I don't believe are deaf.
I'm not voting for the, I want the lower one. Yeah, it's actually.
He's talking about something else.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm talking about something else.
All right.
I think all 5 of us has said we want to find a lower tax rate.
Correct.
3 of us are saying we want to give the city manager his due in our finance department of making an in-depth analysis and make the right decision. Do you know what would be so unjust? Is for us to take that 2% that we scrambled around in 2 weeks and made and come back next year and figured out that we made a mistake. We shouldn't have reduced the tax rate. That's the purpose of Randy saying, give me time to analyze everything, make solid recommendations that we can keep the rate flat for not 1 year, but maybe 3 in a row. That would be much better. That's the reason why I'm arguing so hard to look at how we spend our money, reset our priorities, and develop a plan that will last several years. And I think that's what you're trying to give us, Randy. Is that incorrect?
No, sir.
So I think, yeah, it's worth the wait. Do it right if you're going to do it.
Okay, any other discussion?
Was that a second?
Yeah, he made a
Yeah, that's
second.
already seconded.
Yeah, he already made a second.
Thank you.
So with no other discussion, all in favor of this motion indicate by raising your hand. Okay, all that oppose? Motion carries 3-2. Councilmember Abel, Councilmember Taylor, and Councilmember Walker voted in favor, and Mayor Pro Tem Baloo and Councilmember Chambers voting against. Now, Councilmember Abel, is there, or Councilmember Taylor, is there another motion?
Yes,
To amend?
You better help me so I get it right. I would like to move that we direct City Manager Randy Martin and the finance staff to analyze all aspects of our spending and expense level and revenue level and present a plan by December 31st to reset the budget process. The goal is to reduce taxes. Is that sort of right?
As long as your understanding is it will not make a difference until next fiscal year.
Correct.
You're asking for a report from the manager,
Yes.
and you might call it an interim report, because essentially there will be another report to you when you actually get into the budgeting process starting in February or so that will refine whatever they're going to do for you at the end of the year. You want a report from the manager on what we can do to lower the tax rates
And
as
it
he
will
sees it at
affect,
one time, right?
it will affect the next year's budget.
Right.
Hopefully the next 3-year budget.
Well, the report is due into December. I would suggest maybe you would find out from the manager if that's an acceptable deadline for him.
It's pretty tough.
It's fine.
And how could
We
you
already
not
started.
do it?
Okay.
Love that confidence.
All right, so I think I got your motion there. I'll second that one.
All right?
Okay, so motion made by Councilmember Bill Taylor, seconded by Councilmember Nathan Chambers. Any discussion on this motion? All right, hearing no discussion, all in favor indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous.
Congratulations for getting a
Yep.
unanimous vote, Mr. Mayor and council. And I respect and appreciate all the opinions, if I may make a comment, that have just been expressed. I reiterate my thanks to the staff, particularly finance and the leadership during the transition, your assistant city managers that provided. I'm not a messiah or a going to commit to what the outcome will be before we do the work. But I will say this, that my focus is going to be to look at service levels and how that relates to the financial model. And then, of course, the council will make any final judgments in the service levels that are determined. And that, in great part, will determine our spending levels. We will do our due diligence to project and forecast, and but I think it's a timely, and I accept the responsibility for delivering. And I don't expect you to wait until December. You're going to be actively engaged and informed along the way of any progress and so forth. So thank you for giving me that responsibility, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randy. Okay, so for new business, item 6A, Board of Adjustment in City and Extraterritorial Jurisdiction, ETJ appointments. Sean.
The planning department has recommended for the Board of Adjustment, the two positions that are, I'm sorry, I don't even have my verbiage in here in front of me. Oh, here we go. Sandy's going to take care of her.
Okay.
Sandy was awful quiet tonight.
Sorry. I'll take it if you'd like. So the planning committee made recommendation, and we're on the Board of Adjustment item, correct?
Correct.
For the reappointment to two current members, Sarah West is in city. She's eligible to continue serving, interested in continuing to serve. And Christopher Masters is an ETJ resident, also eligible and interested in serving. The council has the option of reappointing them or appointing somebody else to those seats, should they not decide to reappoint. We don't have any current ETJ applications on file for the Board of Adjustment, and in your packet, we have 3 in-city applications that we just hold applications until there is a vacancy typically. So that is that, and I think the city clerk has a ballot should the council decide not to go with the reappointment option as recommended by Planning Committee.
And they did both indicate that they would like to continue. Is that not correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And so if they do continue, that fills all the positions? right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Well,
Is there a motion?
as the, well, no, you're the chairman now. That's right. Of the planning, no, I am.
No, I'm not.
getting
Yeah,
confused
you are.
now.
Yeah,
I
He's
know.
public safety.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We both sit on the same 2 boards. As the chairman of the planning committee, I'm going to go as recommended action, reappoint Sarah West in the city regular member seat on the Board of Adjustment and adopt Resolution 2026 R34 asking Carter County Board of Commissioners to reappoint Christopher Masters as the ETJ alternate member seat.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Abel. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Nathan Chambers. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Item 6B, Planning Board and City appointment.
Yeah, Nathan, you left the vacant.
Yeah, that's
Vacancy.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, so we're gonna be filling Councilmember Chambers' vacant seat on the planning board.
Are we going to do this with a ballot or
Yeah.
some other way?
Yeah, she's about to pass it around. Yeah, it's gonna be by ballot.
Okay. I didn't see the paper float.
You see what?
I didn't see any paper float.
Oh. Were the names already on here? Okay. We had that problem last time. Oh, I got Bill Taylor, I got you. Who have you got?
We must look like twins.
Evidently. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. I didn't even look at that. Sorry, guys.
I didn't
Have
know
them in
until
order.
the last time, I didn't know they had our names. I was just used to put my name on it.
It's awesome. She had them all in. I know. She's prepared, so.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I really do.
It's unanimous. All 5 have voted for Andrea Sybeck.
Wow.
Okay. Congratulations, Ms. Iback. Yeah, she's back there in the back and,
Speech.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to get up to the podium to say a few words, you can. Yeah, yeah, I put her on the spot. I will say, Andrea, out of all the applicants, she was the only one that completed the Mayor's Academy.
Yep.
She comes to all of our city council meetings, and we just thank you for your continued service and dedication.
Council and city staff, thank you so much. I apologize for my appearance. I came from work. This is quite an honor, and I really do look forward to serving the community and working with everyone in the city and everyone who loves Morehead. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Mayor, if we could, under the circumstances, it's good to get the record very clean. Get a motion
Yep.
for that
Yep.
appointment, if you would.
Need a motion to accept the appointment of Miss Andrea Syback
So
to the
moved.
planning board. Motion made by Councilmember Bill Taylor,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilmember Harvey Walker. With no discussion, all in favor indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
City manager's report, Mr. Randy.
It's my pleasure to remind everyone, I know the council members have received this, but we want to invite the public. The ribbon cutting ceremony for the new Fire and EMS Station 3 is located at 151 Brooks Avenue, just off of Highway 70 on the west end of town. Is scheduled for Monday, June 15th at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome. We will have state and federal representatives, elected officials there. It's anticipated, along with the council, to make that happen, and we congratulate the department for already have located in the facility, and it's a beautiful facility, so we're looking for the citizens to hopefully come out and join us and celebrate that day.
Mr. Manager, are they gonna be, firemen gonna be preparing, lunch for that day? in the new
I'll
kitchen?
defer that to the chief. For somebody, I'm sure they will. There will,
I like to pick on him.
there will be, I'm sure, some refreshments.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Randy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Oh, I don't, did anybody get any updates on the fishing tournament, the little fishing tournament we got going on? Anything happened while we were in here? No other marlins, okay.
Reminder of the, time of the ribbon cutting or the, opening for the new fire station.
10:30.
10:30.
10:30 a.m. on that
Yep, Monday, June
15th, week
15th.
from yesterday.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Randy. Okay, citizens' comments. There are any citizens that want to get up and comment at this time? You have a 3-minute time limit. Mr. Jimmy? Mr. Jimmy, can you come to the podium, please, sir?
What effect does motor vehicles, because we are paying taxes for driving in Moore City, especially me when I got my renewal for my car. Looked like I paid about $200 for a renewal on my car. How many cars do we have that affect the tax base here in Morehead City?
We could say collective.
Notate that.
Yeah, we can provide the collective amount that's included in the budget you adopted, but it's substantial. But a portion of what the county collects on property tax is for vehicles when people renew their tags, is typically when it's paid. The city receives that valuation based on the city's property rate, tax rate. We receive our share of that through the county.
Thank you, Mr. Randy.
And the county gets their share, and then there's some fees usually involved as well.
Okay. All right, Mr. Joe, just state your name and address again.
Joe Giallo and 5129 Holly Lane. So just a suggestion for y'all to consider. This is the first time I've ever come to one of these meetings, much less spoken at it. But, for me and for the neighbors I have, I think the difficulty with the tax increase is not understanding where the money's going. So we're at a point that was 15% dollar-wise below where we are now, right? We've increased our spending 15% from that revenue neutral point. If there are good and valid projects that we need to invest in, I'd recommend that you guys put together a capital and an operating expense budget. Put it on the ballot. Explain it to people. I will vote for something I believe in. The difficulty I've got right now is I don't understand where this other money got spent. And I did look at the budget. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to figure that out. But for what it's worth, a suggestion. Thank you.
And I don't know whether you realize this or not, but the finance department, the town actually, or the city, we can't call ourselves a town anymore. The city produces a document, Jewel, I forget what it's called. The budget at a glance that has probably a lot of what you're talking about in it, and we would have that when? So that may have maybe a lot of the answers you're talking about.
And we'd be more than happy to meet with the individual to answer your specific questions on any of the past actions or current actions.
It just seems to me it would be a lot easier if these things were on a ballot and the citizens voted for them. You wouldn't have a lot of backlash over the tax rates, and you'd be relieved of making controversial decisions, right? Because they'd be voted on. So I'm sure there's a reason why we don't do it that way, but it's just something to consider.
Well, state law requires that the city council establish it before June 30th of each fiscal year. There is no latitude on the part of local governments to defer to any other method of adoption of the budget, for that matter,
But why not
under
just
state
have
law.
a special election or ballot before then?
Well, you wouldn't have the budget to vote on, but I'll be glad to sit down and talk to you about the mechanics of doing that. As was stated, I've done this for quite a while, and be glad to share insights and hear concerns. I would like to say that much of the past actions were tied to budgetary actions taken over a year ago, or roughly a year ago, that impacted the tax rate that was established after the revaluation. This year's rate, there is no revenue neutrality equation this year. It is revenue neutral for this fiscal year that's proposed going forward. But that's just 1 year at a time, and you'll hear much more discussion about that. So thank you for your interest, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think Mr. Randy, Mr. Joe is referring to last year's
Yeah.
fiscal year budget, because we had an option of going revenue neutral, 26.89 cents. But unfortunately, and I think this is what a lot of citizens don't know, that we couldn't go revenue neutral because we had gave salary increases to our employees.
That plus the newer positions that were added to enhance service levels, and capital project funding that was significantly increased for the debt service associated with the capital projects.
Yeah.
Those were the three primary factors that raised spending levels and resulted in the necessity for that rate that was established.
Yep, he's absolutely right. The W.S. King Capital Improvement Project, also City Hall Annex, those raises I mentioned, and also adding new positions is the reason why we couldn't go 26.89 for revenue neutral, Mr. Joe.
It probably is more than that. Yes, yes, very close, according to the finance director. I wasn't here, but in looking at the raw numbers, it did cover those costs, those additional pennies that were set on the rate. Just for information, because some of you weren't here at the previous workshops, the individual penny raises just in excess of $400,000 on the city's tax rate. So if that gives you some help in the additional spending that was added to the budget for those worthwhile items that were just mentioned, added substantially to the city's operating budget and capital budget.
Yep, and he came up with a good idea, because I was one of the ones that voted in favor of approving the budget last year when I was on the council. And one of the main reasons was for the W.S. King Capital Improvement Project. But in hindsight, looking back on it, I thought about that, maybe with another project to that magnitude, with it being $8.2 million, how about doing a bond referendum and put it on the ballot and have the citizens say, hey, well, let's vote for it if we want it, and if they don't want it, they could vote against it. And I seen them do it in New Bern a couple years ago with some of their Parks and Recreation projects. So you made a good point. Okay, are there any other citizen comments? Okay, if not, council member comments. I'm gonna start with council member Harvey Walker.
I want to thank everybody for coming. The city's going to do the right thing. We're going to try to look out for you guys. Mr. Martin, you're on the task right now.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to expect you to deliver. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and being able to be and watching us work. I want all the councilmen to know that I think highly of all of you. I did not make any accusations accusing any of you of anything but doing the right thing. But thank you all for serving, and thank you all for coming.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Walker. Mayor Pro Tem Blue.
No further comments, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Chambers.
It's just a pleasure to serve.
Councilmember Taylor.
Special congratulations to our young ladies from West Carteret. That would be my comment.
Okay, Councilmember Abill.
I'm going to be brief as well. Again, thank the West Carteret girls softball team for their accomplishments this year. I certainly want to express my congratulations to the police department by getting their their accreditation. I keep on going back to national accreditation. That was back in my day, but the North Carolina accreditation, it speaks volumes of this police department. It really does. I also want to thank the city staff for everything they have done over this past year, and especially, again, I'm going to go back to the finance department. The finance department, I guess I need to lean this way instead of leaning back. But each individual department and employee, Matthew, he's helped me out a lot here lately, trying to get me straight. Victoria, you got your hands full this summer with all the things down on the waterfront. And last but not least, thank you, Mr. Martin, for being here. Now, not last but not least, but I want to congratulate Derek Taylor on becoming a new grandfather. So that's all my comments.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Abill. To echo some of the things he said, again, kudos to our wonderful police department. Thank you, Chief Dixon, DC Tuttle. Thank you guys for your hard work and your dedication. Also, again, congratulations to the West Carteret Lady Patriots softball team. They had an outstanding year, 22-6, state runner-up, and they had a fantastic season. And those young ladies, I saw how they brought the community together through their athleticism and their dedication. So congratulations to them and Coach Mark Gupis. Also, I want to talk about the decision that was made here tonight. As the mayor, and I know this all too well, being on the city council, we're not always going to agree. But at the end of the day, as the mayor, I respect the council's decision. I like what Councilmember Walker just stated about that this isn't personal. He's not taking a personal shot at anybody on the council or myself. And that's the beauty of having a board or a council. We're going to have difference of opinions. We're not always going to agree, but at the end of the day, it's all about respecting one another. So I respect you guys' decision that was made tonight. We passed the budget. And thank you, Mr. Randy, Jewel, and Daniel as well for working hard on this budget. We got it passed tonight. And I did see some comments on Facebook from different people who said that they really appreciated the budget and gave us kudos on this budget. So kudos to you guys. Thank you, Jewel, and thank you, Leanne, our assistant finance director, who's always doing a wonderful job too. So I just, again, council, I just want to say thank you guys. Proud of each and every one of you guys. It's not easy to make these type of decisions. It's all about creating a balance. You heard Councilmember Taylor talk about providing services. You heard Councilmember Ballou talking about reducing taxes. And it's hard to create that balance because unfortunately you're not going to satisfy everybody. I've learned that early on, being on the council a couple years ago, that some decisions you make, some people are going to be upset, and then you're going to have some people that are going to be happy with you. But at the end of the day, you got to live with those decisions and do what's in the best interest of our constituents. But again, thank you to the ones that came out tonight, and I appreciate what each and every person brings to Morehead City. And we got the Big Rock Fishing Tournament going on until Saturday. Today, again, was a record-breaking day, and I think it's going to be some more good days to come throughout the rest of the week. But thank you, guys. And
Mayor, before you adjourn, I apologize, I failed to mention, we're also planning our 250th centennial celebration in Morehead, and I encourage people to look online and on the social media platforms to get informed about what Morehead City is doing. We're doing our part to recognize locally that unbelievable date of 250 years of United States of America.
thank you, Mr. Randy. Okay, with no further business to discuss, meeting is adjourned.